Hey there everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we are going to be unboxing all of the Wave 2 miniatures for Conquest Last Argument of Kings, the Yoroni faction. So massive shout out to Para-Bellum-Games. They actually sent me out all of the kits to review for you guys, and then eventually get them all painted up and do some tutorial videos. I do want to let everybody know I'm actually moving this month, so this is actually probably going to be my last video for the next couple of weeks. We should be all settled by the end of June, and then things will resume normally. But without further ado, let's take a look at these kits. So first up, we're going to have the Kitsune Sprue kit. Now this is a dual kit. It's one of your leader options in the Force. So this kit will make both the Bakusu and the Onmyoji. So really excited to crack this open. This is probably the leader that I most like the look of out of all that we have available right now. So really excited for that. All right, and then next up, we're gonna have the Yoroni Kappa Bushi. Now this kit, as well as the Kitsune, are both also available in the Yoroni one-player starter set, which is this guy. So if you are looking to get a mix of the faction as a whole, this is a really great entry point to the Yoroni. So you're going to get those two Wave 2 units, and then the rest of the box comes with Wave 1 miniatures, which we've already unboxed on the channel, so we're not going to be looking at those today. I'll put a link up to that video up in the cards, but let's move on. All right, so next up we've got the Origami Warriors, which these are going to be another unit option for your modular regiments. So they'll mix in with all of the regiments from Wave 1, as well as you can field them as their own unique regiment. And then lastly, we've got the Domaru Damashi. This is hands down the best looking kit that Para-Bellum has ever made. I will stand on that hill until the day I die. This kit looks absolutely phenomenal. However, Para-Bellum has issued a warning. This is supposedly a somewhat advanced kit to put together. So they've actually made their own assembly video, which I will link up in the cards for anyone that hasn't seen it. So I highly recommend that you give that a watch. I've personally already seen it, but I'm going to watch it again, as I am now going to be assembling these for the first time. So without any further ado, let's get down to the hobby table, take a look at these sprues. But before we jump there, if you're new to Conquest or Para-Bellum games in general, and you like the look of the Yoroni, or you've seen another faction and you want to hop in, I can save you some money. So I'm going to pop my affiliate code somewhere on the screen. When you check out on the Para-Bellum web store for the first time, you pop in my code JTS Wargaming. That'll save you 10% off of your purchase, and then the channel gets a little bit of a kickback from that at no cost to you, which really goes a long way into helping to fund all of these videos that I thoroughly enjoy making for you guys. So with that promo out of the way, let's take a look at these sprues. So before we take a look at the minis, we've got some little booklets that come in the box. So first up, we have the Yoroni Welcome Guide, which this just gives you a little bit of background on the faction, which is a pretty cool, quick read. And then it also directs you to get the Conquest app. In case you're new to the game, that's where all of your unit rules are found. And then they also give you 3 ways that you can expand your force. So each one of these options will show you a sort of template warband that you'd be able to add to your army after you've built the contents of this box and gotten your first games in. Right, next up you get the Conquest Quick Start Guide. And now, because this box is meant for both Last Argument of Kings and First Blood, it actually works for both. Half of the book is dedicated to each. Now, these are not the full rules for either game. Those are available for free either from the app or on the Para-Bellum-Games web store. But this is just kind of a high-level overview of how to, get your first couple of games in without having to worry about all of the nitty-gritty of the full rules. So this is meant for, new players, but again, your full rule books are going to be available on the website. All right, next up, we've got the all-important assembly guide. So when I did the Wave 1 unboxing, I did make a couple of mistakes as far as the customization options that you have with some of the regiment kits. So as you can see down here at the bottom, they actually spell out for you what customization options you have in all of your kits. So now in the Cohort box, so you're going to get the full Kitsune kit. So you can either build the Onmyoji or you can build the Bakasu. You're going to get the Kami Aoshi regiment, and all of your face masks, arms, and hands are all interchangeable, and all of the belly masks are interchangeable as well. So you have a little bit more flexibility there than I had originally thought. For the Oni Aoshi, all of your heads and arms are interchangeable. So that actually gives you some pretty cool posing options with them too that I had missed on my first pass. And then for your Tengu, no customization there. But for the Kappa, for the new kits, the heads, helmets, arms, hands, and ornamentation are all interchangeable. Now, as far as your assembly goes, this is bog standard for Para-Bellum. Everything is numbered, and they have pretty clear instructions for how to get everything assembled. I will mention that these are abbreviated guides. They're not the same guides that you get in the full kit for the regiments. So for instance, for the Kami, they only show you how to build 2 of them. And then your third one, you can kind of figure it out because those will be the only parts that are left on the sprue. And then same thing for your Oni, your Kappa, and your Tengu, which the Tengu you only get 2 anyway. Also, I do want to reiterate, if you're buying the Cohort box, you're specifically getting 2 of the Tengu Bushi. You do not get the parts to make the Aoshi. And you're also going to get your Ideal card. So these replace the function of command cards for other factions. So if you're not familiar, the Yoroni have these 5 ideals. So there's Sui, Fu, Ka, Chi, and then there's one more that's not in here because you don't get any of those units in the box, and that's Mu. But these, whenever you flip them off of your command stack, can activate any of your units in your army. But if the type of the card matches the unit type that you're activating, they get certain bonuses. And all of that's detailed out in the Army Rules document. Again, that's available for free on the Para-Bellum website. So, fun bit of story time. So the Origami Warriors and the Domaru actually arrived after I got my Cohort box for the faction and had already started filming and editing this video. So we're going to do them a little bit differently. So I'm going to show off the instruction sheet for both units, and while I'm doing that, I'll pop the sprues on screen as well. So we'll start off with the Origami Warriors. As far as customizability, all of your heads and arms are interchangeable. They have like a little circular peg system, so you can swap around all of your arms and heads to get some different looking miniatures. And then there are also a couple of different hat options because you get an extra head for the body that can build either the troop leader or just a regular trooper. But outside of the arm and head customizations, they are relatively statically posed miniatures. But this is a really cool concept that I think they executed very, very well. You'll see when I show off the assembled miniatures here in a little bit, there's actually quite a lot of sculpted detail in these. That'll be really, really easy to pick out with a wash while you're painting them. All right, and then last but not least, we have the Domaru Damashi kit. So this is going to come with 3 sprues. Each sprue builds one single Domaru. Now, with hindsight, because I've already built these at this point, the only sculpt that I feel like you probably want to use a combination of like glue it together first with super glue and use an accelerator and then kind of go back over some of the joints with some plastic glue is going to be the leader model. The other 2 poses for the regular troopers, I just use plastic glue, trying to be as objective as possible because I know I've been building kits for more than 2 decades now. I still feel like someone who had less experience than I do could probably build those last 2 poses no issues whatsoever. The first pose though, which is also the pose that Para-Bellum made the video for. One, you're definitely going to watch that video, so make sure you check out that link. It's up in the cards, but I'll even put it in the description. I think it's that important to kind of see someone build this first, but having that video as context when you go through the rest of the instructions, they all make sense. And like I said, the last 2 poses went together easy peasy. Alright, so here is the Kitsune Sprue. It's just 1 sprue, and again, you do have both options all contained on this 1 sprue. The only difference really between the 2 of them from what I saw was there's different arms and then different head options as well. But the tail and the body, for the most part, is going to be the same. The detail on here looks fantastic. I do see some key marks on these tail pieces, so even though this is a lot of pieces to produce 1 miniature, I'm hoping that it will slot together pretty nicely. I'm liking the level of detail that I'm seeing like on the kimono, and even the face detail looks really nice and sharp. Here's the back side. So you can even see they molded in numbers to kind of help you keep everything straight. So that's actually really, really awesome. All right, let's take a look at the Kappa. So the Kappa are actually on 2 sprues. So here goes the first one. We've got a front and back body, it looks like. The tails look to be 2 pieces. It looks like everything's numbered with really nice big chunky numbering so you can keep your body straight. Looks like this one staff has like a giant half oyster shell on top of it, which is pretty cool. The detailing on this armor looks fantastic. That's going to be really cool to get painted up. And here's your other side. All right, let's take a look at that second sprue. And here is our second sprue. So we've got our additional 2 bodies, some different staffs here. Here's the back side of the sprue. Yeah, I'm really loving the detail on these. They did a really great job. Even like the scales on the tail look really, really good. And then they have like beards on their faces, and even the eyebrows are like detailed. Yeah, that looks really good. All right, I'm gonna take these away, get them built, and then I'll show you what the assembled Wave 2 miniatures look like. So first up, we have our Kitsune model. Now, I've only built one of these. I haven't built the alternate variant, but here we can see she's dual-wielding katanas. Now, the kit mostly went together very, very well. There were a couple of the tail pieces that, at first glance, I was just like, how in the world is this supposed to slot in here? But after, like, rotating it and playing with it, I was able to figure it out. Now, my one gripe with this kit, there still are some gaps once you get it completely together. Now, they aren't all super, super noticeable. So, like, this gap right here is relatively small. And, you know, when you're looking at it from top down, you really can't see. But the one that's kind of glaring is the one right behind her right arm. That piece just does not slot in well enough to close that gap. So that's easily remedied with some green stuff. It's not the end of the world, but it would have been nice if everything slotted in perfectly. However, with that aside, this model is absolutely gorgeous. Like, the hair texture is amazing. The face has really nice sculpted detail that'll be really cool to paint some, like, face tattoos on and stuff. The flowing kimono is sculpted beautifully as well. It's a very well executed miniature. Alright, so next up we've got our Kappa Bushi. So I was actually pleasantly surprised by this kit when I was looking at the sprues and I had seen the product images out on the Para-Bellum web store. They looked cool, but they looked very, very static, kind of like this pose here. However, because of the way the arms and the hands are designed, so it's just a flat sort of circular connection point at both points. So kind of halfway up the bicep and then at the wrist. You can actually swap all of the arms and hands and rotate them to actually kind of get some cool poses. So where this guy is kind of static, I was able to make this guy, who's kind of got like a really cool sort of like mid-strike pose, which is really, really awesome that you could do this out of the kit. Now, I do want to clarify, you do only get 3 in the box. I happen to have 2 boxes worth, which is why I've got 6 of these guys here. But the one thing you want to make sure when you're posing these guys is before you glue them to the base, make sure that your intended orientation of the arm to the staff hand, that you actually have enough clearance room so that the staff isn't like trying to go down through the base. So it's a little tricky, like you kind of want to hold the arm and the hand and then kind of rotate it at the join until you get the position that'll work, depending on how you've got it, you know, based and which arms that you're using. Now, the kit does come with a ton of extra accessories, which I did not add on. Personally, I tend to not be a fan of extra accessories. There's already a lot of detail on these to paint anyway. Yeah, I don't want to spend more time painting more detail, but that's a personal choice. If you really like the Kappa and you wanted, you know, a lot of them and you wanted to be able to differentiate them all, it is nice to see that they included that in the free space on the sprue. Another thing, you do get plenty of staff options, so I'm not even using all of the staffs available. And then you also get quite a bit of these right hand options. So this gent is holding a scroll, got a couple of open hands. There's even a pointy fist thing. I thought I had that on my desk. I may have moved it. But yeah, there's actually a lot of customization built into this kit, even though the bodies are relatively static. Next up, we've got the Origami Warriors, which this is a very interesting unit. So again, all of the arms and heads are interchangeable. You've got some extra head options on the kit as well. The bodies of these units are made of, ensorcelled origami paper, but the swords actually appear to kind of be bamboo, and it's even got the wood grain sculpted in there, which is really, really awesome. Even though they're kind of like 8-bit, 16-bit, circa Virtua Fighter arcade back in the day, showing my age here. There's tons of details sculpted in for all of the folds and the crinkles in the paper, and you'll be able to paint these guys up really simply with just, base coat wash and then some dry brushing, maybe a couple of speed paints to pick out some details, and you'll be able to get these on the table super, super fast. So overall, pretty pleased with these. I feel like these are very well executed, and then it's also nice because they're kind of intended to be like a filler unit for your modular regiments, that they were made in such a way that you can get them painted up nice and quickly. And now for the real reason why you guys are still watching this video, the Domaru Damashi. So, like I said earlier, when we were looking at the Sprues, the two troop poses were relatively easy to get together. So this is the first one, and then here is the second one, which honestly, this guy might be my favorite pose. Just looks so cool. Love these miniatures. I was not expecting how large these guys are. Like, using the ruler that's built into my mat, we're looking at 4.5 inches on this guy. And I think this one might be slightly taller, almost coming in at like 4.75 inches. So for brute stands, these guys are huge, which I kind of have to figure out how I'm going to store them. I don't think they're going to fit in the carry case that I had planned for them. Now, this is the infamous leader, who is most likely going to give people some trouble. So, again, I want to stress this. Make sure you watch the video that Para-Bellum put out. And this is the guy where you're probably going to first pass, go through with super glue, and then a little bit of accelerator, so that you can get those joins rock solid really, really quickly. And then once you have the sub-assemblies together, you can come back in with some plastic glue and make sure that it stays together with those really, really strong, chemically fused joints. A lot of your frustration is actually going to come in with these ropes kind of inside the body, getting those to sit properly. And actually, as I just touched this, the connection point on this guy isn't that great. I'm going to have to fix that. But these sculpts look absolutely fantastic. Techno wizardry went into executing, taking this miniature and turning it into a sprue that could still be assembled, in a relatively short amount of time. This unit is just absolutely fantastic, and I think I'm going to have to grab myself a second box of these. Alright, well, that was all of Wave 2 of the Yoroni sculpts. So let me know down in the comments what you thought about the new miniatures. Personally, I am super stoked. to get these all painted up and added to my force, which will unfortunately happen after I move. But I am looking forward to the future. We've already seen previews of the next wave, which is going to have a lot of the monster kits for the faction. Specifically, the Dai Yokai kit looks absolutely phenomenal, which that's going to be a dual kit. Both monsters look amazing. So if you guys are looking for, again, getting your foot in the door with the Yoroni or any of the Conquest factions, make sure you use my link and affiliate code, which will be in the description of the video. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on the notifications, do all the algorithm things. That greatly helps the channel. And I will see you all in the next video, hopefully in a new studio.